Welcome to a transformative journey into the mind of Niccolò Machiavelli, the 16th century philosopher whose ideas on power, strategy, and human nature remain strikingly relevant today. In this lesson, we'll dive into one of Machiavelli's most provocative and counterintuitive strategies: never defend yourself. This concept, drawn from his seminal work, The Prince, and his broader political writings, is a psychological and strategic masterstroke that flips the script on power dynamics instantly. Whether you're navigating workplace politics, social conflicts, or personal challenges, this lesson will equip you with the tools to wield influence like a Machiavellian master, without ever appearing weak or defensive. Why does defending yourself often backfire? At its core, defending yourself signals vulnerability, cedes control to your accuser, and invites further scrutiny. Machiavelli understood that power isn't just about strength, it's about perception. By refusing to engage in self-defense, you disarm your critics, shift the narrative, and reclaim the upper hand. This lesson will unpack this strategy through historical examples, psychological insights, and practical applications, ensuring you leave with actionable wisdom to navigate life's power struggles. We'll structure this lesson into 5 key sections. 1. The psychology of defense. Why defending yourself weakens your position. 2. Machiavelli's philosophy. The roots of this strategy in The Prince and beyond. 3. Historical case studies. Real-world examples of leaders who flipped power by refusing to defend. 4. Practical applications. How to apply this trick in modern contexts like work, relationships, and social media. 5. Common pitfalls and counter-arguments. Avoiding missteps and addressing criticisms of this approach. Each section is designed to build on the last, blending storytelling, analysis, and practical tips to keep you engaged and inspired. By the end, you'll understand why Machiavelli's approach is not about cowardice, but about cunning, and how you can use it to command respect and influence in any situation. Let's begin by exploring why defending yourself is a trap you should avoid at all costs. Section 1. The psychology of defense. Why defending yourself feels natural but isn't. When someone attacks your character, decisions, or actions, your first instinct is to defend yourself. It's human nature. You want to set the record straight, prove your innocence, or justify your choices. But here's the harsh truth. Defending yourself often makes you look guilty, weak, or desperate. Psychologically, it shifts the power to your accuser, putting you on the back foot. Why? Because the act of defending implies that their accusation has merit worth addressing. Consider a simple scenario. A colleague accuses you of slacking on a project. If you rush to explain your workload or justify your efforts, you've already lost ground. You're reacting to their frame, validating their critique by engaging with it. Machiavelli would argue this is a fatal mistake. By refusing to defend, you deny your accuser the satisfaction of controlling the narrative. Instead, you force them to justify their attack, flipping the power dynamic. The power of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools in power dynamics. When you don't respond to an attack, you create ambiguity. Your accuser expects a reaction: anger, excuses, or apologies. By withholding these, you unsettle them. They begin to doubt their own position. Did they misjudge you? Are you too powerful to care? This uncertainty shifts the psychological burden onto them. Psychological studies, like those on cognitive dissonance, support this. When people expect a reaction and don't get it, they experience discomfort and may overcompensate by softening their stance or seeking your approval. Machiavelli understood this intuitively. In The Prince, he advises rulers to project strength through calculated nonchalance, letting others exhaust themselves while you remain composed. The trap of over-explaining. Over-explaining is another pitfall. When you provide a detailed defense, you invite scrutiny of every word. Each explanation becomes a new point for your critic to dissect. This is why public figures often falter when they over-apologize or over-explain during scandals. The more they say, the more ammunition they give their critics. Machiavelli's trick is to say nothing, or say something that redirects the conversation entirely. Reframing the narrative. Instead of defending, Machiavelli advocates redirecting. If accused, don't deny or justify, pivot. Shift the focus to your accuser's motives, the broader context, or an entirely different issue. This tactic, rooted in psychological framing, forces others to play on your terms. For example, if someone accuses you of being unreliable, you might calmly say, "I'm curious why this is being brought up now. What's the bigger picture here?" This subtle move puts them on the defensive without you ever engaging their accusation directly. Key takeaways. Defending yourself signals weakness and validates your accuser's frame. Silence creates ambiguity, unsettling your critic and giving you control. Over-explaining invites more scrutiny. Less is more. Redirect the narrative to flip the power dynamic instantly. By understanding these psychological principles, you're ready to see how Machiavelli codified this approach into a philosophy of power. Let's dive into his world. Machiavelli's philosophy. Who was Niccolò Machiavelli? Niccolò Machiavelli, 1469 to 1527, was a Florentine diplomat, philosopher, and writer whose works, particularly The Prince and Discourses on Livy, revolutionized political thought. Living in a turbulent era of warring Italian city-states, Machiavelli observed the raw mechanics of power, how it's won, held, and lost. Unlike idealists who preached morality, Machiavelli was a realist. He believed that effective leaders prioritize results over ethics, using cunning, strategy, and perception to maintain control. The core of never defend yourself. In The Prince, Machiavelli doesn't explicitly say never defend yourself, but the principle is woven into his advice on maintaining power. He writes, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel." This means perception trumps reality. If you appear weak by defending yourself, you lose credibility, regardless of the truth. Machiavelli's trick is about controlling the narrative. In chapter 18 of The Prince, he advises rulers to appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, upright, while being prepared to act otherwise when necessary. Defending yourself undermines this carefully crafted image. Instead, Machiavelli suggests projecting strength, indifference, or even mystery to keep others guessing. The role of fortuna and virtù. Machiavelli's philosophy hinges on two concepts: fortuna, fortune or luck, and virtù, skill, cunning, and adaptability. Attacks on your character or actions are moments of fortuna, unpredictable challenges. A leader with virtù doesn't react impulsively to these attacks, but uses them strategically. By refusing to defend, you demonstrate virtù, turning a potential weakness into an opportunity to showcase strength. For example, Machiavelli recounts how Cesare Borgia, a cunning Renaissance leader, faced accusations of cruelty. Instead of defending his actions, Borgia redirected attention to his achievements, unifying territories and maintaining order. His refusal to engage critics directly made him seem untouchable, enhancing his power. Why defense equals weakness? Machiavelli believed that defending yourself acknowledges your accuser's authority. It's as if you're pleading your case before their court. Instead, he advises flipping the script. Make your accuser justify themselves. This aligns with his broader principle that power is about initiative. By staying above the fray, you position yourself as the one who sets the terms. The ethics question. Machiavelli's approach raises ethical concerns. Is it manipulative to avoid accountability? Machiavelli would argue that in a world where power determines outcomes, survival trumps morality. However, he also emphasizes pragmatism. Use this strategy judiciously, not recklessly. The goal isn't to evade responsibility forever, but to control when and how you address it. Key takeaways. Machiavelli's philosophy prioritizes perception over reality. Refusing to defend yourself projects strength and keeps you in control. Virtue turns attacks into opportunities to showcase power. Redirect, don't react, to maintain the upper hand. Use this strategy ethically and strategically, not as a default. Now that we understand Machiavelli's philosophy, let's see it in action through historical examples. Historical case studies. Case study 1. Julius Caesar and the Senate. Julius Caesar, the Roman general and statesman, mastered the art of non-defense. When accused of overstepping his authority by the Roman Senate, Caesar didn't plead his case or justify his actions. Instead, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army in 49 BC, a bold move that shifted the narrative entirely. By acting decisively rather than defending, he forced his critics into a reactive position, ultimately consolidating his power. What can we learn? Caesar's refusal to engage in verbal defense didn't mean inaction. He redirected the conversation through action, demonstrating that power lies in setting the agenda, not responding to others. Case study 2. Queen Elizabeth I and her critics. Queen Elizabeth I of England faced constant accusations of illegitimacy and weakness as a female ruler in the 16th century. Instead of defending her right to rule, she cultivated an image of divine authority, the Virgin Queen. When faced with criticism, she often remained silent or delivered cryptic, confident responses that left her detractors scrambling. Her famous speech at Tilbury, where she declared, "I have the heart and stomach of a king," redirected attention from her gender to her strength, flipping the power dynamic. Elizabeth's approach shows how non-defense can be paired with positive self-presentation, to disarm critics without engaging their accusations directly. Case study 3. Abraham Lincoln and political attacks. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th U.S. president, faced vicious attacks during the Civil War, with critics calling him incompetent or tyrannical. Lincoln rarely engaged these attacks directly. Instead, he used humor, anecdotes, or silence to deflect. In one instance, when accused of indecisiveness, he responded with a story about a farmer who didn't rush into decisions, a subtle way of reframing the critique as a strength. By avoiding direct defense, Lincoln maintained his authority and kept his focus on leading the nation. Lincoln's example highlights how humor and redirection can neutralize attacks while preserving your dignity. Modern parallel: Steve Jobs and product criticism. In the modern era, Steve Jobs exemplified this principle. When Apple faced criticism for product flaws, like the iPhone 4's antenna issues, Jobs didn't dwell on apologies or justifications. Instead, he redirected attention to Apple's innovation and vision, often announcing new products or features to shift the narrative. This kept Apple's brand strong and critics off balance. Key takeaways: historical figures like Caesar, Elizabeth, and Lincoln used non-defense to maintain power. Action, silence, or redirection can be more effective than verbal defense. Modern leaders like Jobs show this strategy's timeless relevance. The key is to control the narrative, not react to it. With these examples in mind, let's explore how you can apply Machiavelli's trick in your own life. Practical applications. Applying the strategy in the workplace. Workplace conflicts are prime territory for Machiavelli's trick. Suppose a colleague accuses you of missing a deadline. Instead of explaining your delay, try redirecting. Let's look at how we can ensure the project moves forward smoothly now. This shifts the focus to solutions, not blame, and positions you as a leader. Alternatively, silence can work wonders. Nod, acknowledge their concern vaguely, and move on. Your lack of defensiveness signals confidence and forces them to rethink their approach. Another tactic is to ask questions. Can you clarify what you mean by that? This puts the accuser on the spot, making them justify their critique without you engaging directly. Over time, colleagues will hesitate to challenge you, knowing you won't take the bait. Navigating personal relationships. In personal relationships, defending yourself can escalate conflicts. Imagine a friend accuses you of being distant. Instead of listing reasons for your behavior, try, "I've noticed we haven't connected as much lately. How can we fix that?" This redirects to collaboration, avoiding a defensive spiral. Alternatively, a calm, "I hear you. Let's talk about what's going on," keeps you in control without validating their accusation. Silence is also powerful here. If a partner or friend makes a heated accusation, a pause followed by a neutral, "Let's figure this out together," can de-escalate and shift the dynamic in your favor. Mastering social media and public perception. Social media is a battleground for public opinion, where defending yourself can backfire spectacularly. If you're criticized online, resist the urge to clap back with justifications. Instead, post something unrelated that reinforces your brand or values. For example, if someone attacks your work ethic, share a post about a recent achievement or a positive project. This redirection shapes the narrative without engaging the critic directly. If you must respond, use humor or deflection. A witty, "Thanks for the feedback, I'll keep shining," can disarm critics while keeping your audience on your side. The key is to avoid appearing rattled. Calm confidence is your greatest asset. Pause and assess. When attacked, take a moment to breathe. Don't react impulsively. Choose silence or redirection. Decide whether silence, a question, or a pivot serves you best. Project confidence. Maintain calm body language and ipasi fo, step-by-step guide to flipping the power. 1. Pause and assess. When attacked, take a moment to breathe. Don't react impulsively. Choose silence or redirection. Decide whether silence, a question, or a pivot serves you best. 3. Project confidence. Maintain calm body language and tone, signaling strength. 4. Shift the frame. Redirect to a topic you control, solutions, achievements, or your accuser's motives. 5. Follow through. Reinforce your position with actions that showcase your competence or value. Practice scenarios. Scenario 1. Workplace gossip. Someone spreads a rumor that you're not pulling your weight. Instead of denying it, say, "I'm focused on delivering results. Let's talk about the project goals." Then, excel visibly in your work. Scenario 2. Family conflict. A family member accuses you of being selfish. Respond with, "I value our relationship. How can we make this work for both of us?" This invites collaboration without defensiveness. Scenario 3. Online criticism. A commenter calls your work amateurish. Ignore or post a polished piece of content showcasing your skill, letting your work speak for itself. Key takeaways. In the workplace, redirect to solutions or ask questions to flip the dynamic. In relationships, use collaboration or silence to avoid escalation. On social media, reinforce your brand instead of engaging critics. Follow the step-by-step guide to stay strategic and composed. Practice in low-stakes scenarios to build confidence. Before we conclude, let's address potential pitfalls and counter-arguments to ensure you wield this strategy effectively. Common pitfalls and counter-arguments. Pitfall 1. Misjudging when to stay silent. While silence is powerful, it's not always appropriate. If an accusation demands a response, e.g., legal or ethical issues, ignoring it completely can signal guilt or irresponsibility. Machiavelli would advise strategic timing. Know when silence strengthens you and when a calculated pivot is better. For example, in a workplace investigation, a brief, confident statement like, "I'm happy to clarify any facts as needed," shows openness without defensiveness. Pitfall 2. Appearing arrogant. refusing to defend can sometimes come off as dismissive or arrogant, alienating allies. To avoid this, pair your non-defense with warmth or humor. A smile, a light tone, or a collaborative phrase like, "Let's sort this out together," can soften the perception while maintaining your power. Pitfall 3. Overusing the strategy. If you never address criticism, you risk seeming unaccountable. Machiavelli emphasized adaptability. Use this trick selectively, not as a blanket rule. If you're genuinely at fault, a strategic acknowledgement, without groveling, can build trust. For example, "I see where I could have done better. Here's how I'm moving forward," shifts focus to your initiative. Counter-argument 1. Isn't this just avoiding accountability? Critics might argue that refusing to defend yourself dodges responsibility. While accountability matters, Machiavelli's point is about timing and framing. Defending reactively puts you in a weak position. Addressing issues on your terms preserves power. The goal is to choose when and how to engage, not to evade forever. Counter-argument 2. Doesn't silence signal weakness? Some might say silence looks like you have no defense. In reality, silence signals confidence when done strategically. The key is to pair it with actions that reinforce your strength. For example, if criticized for poor performance, let your next success speak louder than words. Counter-argument 3. Is this ethical? Machiavelli's tactics can feel manipulative, raising ethical questions. The answer lies in intent and context. Using this strategy to harm others or evade justice is unethical. Using it to protect your dignity and navigate unfair attacks is pragmatic. Always weigh the consequences and aim to balance power with integrity. Key takeaways. Use silence strategically, but know when a response is necessary. Avoid arrogance by pairing non-defense with warmth or humor. Don't overuse the strategy. Acknowledge fault when appropriate. Address counter-arguments by focusing on timing, intent, and action. Balance power with ethical considerations to maintain trust. Conclusion. Machiavelli's trick to never defend yourself is a game changer in navigating power dynamics. By refusing to engage critics on their terms, you project strength, control the narrative, and flip the power instantly. This lesson has shown you why defending weakens you, how Machiavelli's philosophy supports this approach, and how historical and modern figures have used it to triumph. From workplace conflicts to social media battles, you now have a step-by-step guide to wield this strategy effectively, along with warnings to avoid common pitfalls.